Hello students, in today's lecture we will talk about a very important topic of object-oriented programming, that is inheritance. The first question is, what is inheritance? So if you want to acquire a properties of one class, or we can say that if you want to use properties of one class into the another class, that concept is inheritance. Second important point about inheritance is it must follow a relationship. So to understand this concept, we take a real life scenario. So if we talk about employee and temporary employee, so temporary employee is an employee. It must follow is a relationship. Okay. So we use that scenario to understand the concept of inheritance. Okay. So first we designed one class with name employee. So I think you get a better clarity what is class. Again, class is a user defined data type. So in this scenario, we make our own data type, that is employee. Okay. We make one more class with name temporary employee. Temporary employee. Okay. So temporary employee must follow is the relationship. So we easily say that temporary employee is the employee. Okay. So in this scenario, we want to make that temporary employee as a child class, or we want to make it as a derived class of employee class. Okay. So for that, you have to write like this. Okay. You have to pass employee in a that round bracket. Okay. Not follow is the relationship. Okay. Now in this scenario, that temporary employee become a derived class. Not become a derived class. Or we say that it is a child class. Or we say that it is a child class of employee class. It is a child class of employee class. So technically call it that temporary employee is a derived class. It derived from employee class. And in the scenario that employee is parent class, it is a parent class. It behave like a parent class, or technically call it one more terminology that given to employee, that is we call it is a base class. It is a base class. So in this scenario, that employee class will become a base class, or we call it is a parent class, and that temporary employee is derived from the employee class. Okay, so it follow is a relationship, that temporary employee must follow is a relationship, and we easily say that temporary employee is the employee. Okay, now definitely employee has some properties like it have name, age, employee ID. Okay, so if we want to initialize these properties like name, age and employee ID, so for that we have one predefined function in Python, that is init function. So with the help of init function we can easily initialize instance variable. Okay, so in Python if you want to initialize instance variable, so for that we have one predefined function, that is init function. Okay, so we are using that function, that is init, and we can initialize our properties because we have name, employee have name, age and ID. Okay, and if we want to initialize these properties, so with the help of init function we can easily initialize. So we write like this, like self dot employee name is equal to name, self dot age equal age. So that equal is actually assignment operator. Okay, so with the help of that assignment operator we can easily initialize that age to employees. Okay, and if you want to write like this, so that is also right, it makes things easy. Okay, next self dot employee id is equal to id. Okay, so in this scenario that employee name, employee age and employee id is behave like an instance variable, and that name, age and id is behave like a local variable. So if you are from C++ or Java background, so you can easily compare with these concepts, so you can better understand what is instance variable and what is local instance variable in this scenario. So in this scenario that name, age and id is behave like a local variable, sorry, and that employee name, employee age and employee id is a instance variable. Okay, so that employee name, age and employee id is a instance variable, and name, age, and ID is behave like a local variable. Okay. Now we want to display these details. So for that we have to design one instance method also. So we have to design our own instance method with name display. Okay. So that displays the instance method, and with the help of this method we can easily display the detail of employee. So if we want to display the name, so we write like this, like self dot employee name, comma, self dot employee age, comma, and self dot employee ID. Okay, so in this scenario, employee name, employee age, and employee ID is an instance variable and displays an instance method because it works on instance variable. That's why we call it. It is an instance method. Okay, perfectly fine. Okay. Now, if we want to create the instance of temporary employee, okay, so if we want to create like this, like T1 is equal to temporary employee, and we want to pass some data here, like our temporary employee have name Ravi, its age is 27, and it have employee ID 111. Okay. So first thing, if we run the program, we'll get error or not? Definitely we'll get error because here we pass three values, but inside the temporary class we not have any of the constructor. So first we pause the video and think, we'll get error or not? Okay. So first we run the program and it perfectly works. We're not getting any error. But if we run the T1 dot display, so it will display the detail that is Ravi 27 and 111 because temporary employee have no because in temporary employee we pass we write pass only. Okay, in this we are not designing init function, so it use the init function of its base class, that is employee class, and that is the reason we will not get any error. Okay, but what happen if we design init inside the temporary employee? Okay, so if we write like this, like def array. Okay, and we want to pass one more properties inside the temporary employee, that is salary. Okay, so now what happened? How we fix the values? And we write like this, like self dot salary equal to sal. Now we'll get error or not? Okay, so again we run the program, and here we pass one more properties, that is salary. So salary is 8,000. If we run the program, we'll get an error. Okay, take two position argument, but 5 were given. Because if we see about that init function, so in this we only pass one properties. Okay, but if when we create the object, we pass 1, 2, 3, 4, 4 properties, and one more, that is address of T1. So we pass 5 properties, but inside init we take only 2 properties. Okay, first self, that is name of current invoking object, and second self, and that is the reason we will get error. So to fix this error, we have to pass name, age, employee ID, and salary inside init of temporary employee. And with the help of super, we can easily call init of base class, and you can easily pass these properties like name, age, and ID. Now with the help of super, we can easily pass this property inside the base class. Okay, so I think now it's perfectly work. If we run the program, now it will not get any error. So in this case, if we want to pass these properties like name, age, and ID inside the base class, so it's mandatory use that super function. Okay, so I think you get better understand what is inheritance. So if you want to acquire properties of one class into another class. For that we have to use inheritance concept, and that is the reason that display function is not designed in temporary employee, but because it follows the concept of inheritance, that display is designed inside the employee class, and temporary employee is the derived from employee class, and that is the reason that temporary employee easily use that display function, and that is actually the beauty of inheritance. Okay, so that's all for today's class. Thank you so much.